Hello, I'm Sarah McKenna, and once again, I'm delighted to be here, this time with Jonathan Bishop. And we're going to be having a very quick chat with regard to the upcoming webinar series that he's speaking at. And that is Sustainability in a World Growing in Uncertainty, Risks and Opportunities, Optimizing Performance, Unlocking and Allocating Resources Ahead of Less Resilient Competitors. Now, it's a very long title, but I think it gives you a really good indicator of what it is. Now, this webinar series is the why, what, and how to regarding sustainability. The why and the what sessions have already run. Do look them up. And the next one is the how session, which is on the 25th of November. All of these webinars have featured incredibly qualified speakers, and the final session is no different. So this is another of the taster sessions, and we'll get on with it by introducing you to Jonathan. So you've agreed to be a speaker for the how session. Can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, Jonathan Bishop. I'm a quality professional, I guess it best describes me, but specifically someone who's been interested in integrating the management of all sorts of risks and to help organisations focus good governance and knowledge share and continual improvement into their day-to-day operations. I started probably 30 years ago now in manufacturing, where I learned all about sort of process variation and control and the sorts of principles that apply to making manufacturing efficient. And then I sort of migrated that kind of thinking across into construction, into telecoms, into other service industries as well, where we were able to apply those same sort of techniques. But the challenge over the years, and has kept me in a job, I guess, is the continued complexity from different stakeholders that organisations have to respond to, as well as just focusing on their customers and delivering what actually pays and brings the money in. It's that necessity to do it in a responsible way, in a sustainable way, etc. And that's only going to increase. So, yeah, I think it's been a very interesting and rewarding career and an area to be involved with. But absolutely, very keen to be involved in the biggest challenge, the biggest risk we have regarding sustainability.
Absolutely. And I have to say, the amount of people who had quality as their sort of first introduction to the world of standards, which was the case for me. I saw the quality standard before I saw any other, and I thought it was the greatest thing. But so many have then taken their jump from quality into various areas of risk. So there's that kind of common theme running through. So could you tell me, what was it specifically that made you want to take part in this three webinar series?
Well, whenever I've got the opportunity really to talk about improving the integration of risk, particularly when it comes to something as existential as climate change and sustainability, it really helps me to focus the people I talk to on the ability to actually integrate something that's often been seen in the past, I guess, as a sort of lagging indicator in how businesses perform, and bringing that forward into the design of work and really integrate it into operational thinking so that it can become part of what we do. It's unfortunately a lot of the time organizations focus on the delivery of what their customers want at all costs, and the idea that risk can shift during operational phases, that we need to think about things as soon as possible and plan for success in meeting any stakeholder requirements, can't be something that's siloed within a sustainability department. It's very much like quality. Quality evolved from a place of thinking about measuring the product to actually starting to improve the process. Focus on the process and the product will take care of itself. So, and the same is true for all of these, I would say, relatively new areas, whether it's new aspects to sustainability or climate change or whatever risks, the future risks that we identify. We must be as proactive and forward thinking in terms of understanding those and treating them as any other risk when it comes to balancing the outputs of an organization. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. So I'm just really keen, because for me, really bringing anything, it used to be when I first started in this sort of career, I would use health and safety as a bit of a mandate in organizations, particularly in the construction industry where I've worked, to help push the quality message. Increasingly so, sustainability is also becoming that kind of heavy hitter in terms of me being able to get the attention of management just to focus on how do we really understand risk and balance all the risks of different stakeholders so that we can meet all of these challenging demands and not kind of revert to trying to tidy up at the end of a business process, trying to get the data that we need to evidence that we've been responsible when it's perhaps too late at that stage. So yeah, a long response, but that's kind of why I'm in it, because it helps me to do my job.
I mean, that's absolutely the sort of perfect response, really, isn't it? And I think it's again very interesting that you have been not the first person to talk about the silo system that exists in so many organizations. And I think the sooner we can just knock those down and recognize that pillars of excellence are only excellent if they talk to each other. So, yeah. So I wanted to ask you a key question, and this is one that I've put to all of the speakers during these sessions, and that is, do you think the conflict between the political and the scientific is going to reduce or worsen in the coming year or two, and why?
Um, yes, now it would be easy to, I think, sometimes to be a bit cynical, but I am optimistic. And the reason I am is because I do see change happening in terms of a generational shift in attitude towards how we actually just treat the planet. And I think there's a generation coming through now who have grown up hearing about climate change, and it's a reality for them. It wasn't when I was growing up. It wasn't really. There was an assumption that we were looking after the planet, and now it's very clear that we're not. And I think as political leadership starts to shift to some of the younger generations, as well as the sort of environmental activism, but the political activism in new generations. We've seen a new younger mayor in New York. We've seen, as well as environmental activists being progressive and their voice getting louder. So I feel as though there is the opportunity for change to be shifted in the right direction. These things will take a long time. It will be generational. I think, and I hope and pray that that's not too late. But change will happen. Change does happen, and I think it will be nudged in the right direction, simply because some of those that older, cowardly, should I say, thinking will literally die off. And I'm optimistic that new opportunities and business will develop from that, as it has done with renewable energy. I don't see that momentum changing. I just hope that it's fast enough, and I think it's picking up all the time. So I'm going to be optimistic.
Yeah. I have to agree with you on the generational thing. I hadn't actually thought about it in quite that way before. The fact that the only thing that related even remotely to climate when I was a child was the very, very hot summers of, what was it, 1976 and 1977. And that was just, freakish weather. Now I think people are looking and seeing that things are happening more and more. There are more hurricanes, they are more severe. And I think that has been part of their mindset virtually from the moment they were born, this latest generation. So yeah, I absolutely agree. They are the hope, aren't they?
Indeed, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So before I let you go, I've got one final question for you, and that's regarding the webinar itself. What do you hope that the delegates will actually take away from the sessions?
I hope that fundamentally there's a recognition of an opportunity not to meet the complexities and the challenges that we face of sustainability by introducing more complexity into our organisations. We are already loaded and often uncoordinated and sometimes confused about how we meet all of these stakeholder needs. It is a real challenge, but I think by being risk focused on absolutely all of the requirements that we have from our customers, and recognizing all of those in our stakeholders and building that into the design of how we deliver our work, then we are in with an opportunity not just to be responsible as organizations from a sustainability point of view, but to be more efficient, to remove waste, to save money. And I think we have to be disciplined in thinking that, if we are creating complexity, then we're probably doing something wrong. Let's look for the simplicity, I think, and the opportunity to, if we're doing the right things, then the people in our organisations will respond, and we will find ways of becoming more efficient commercial organisations as well as responsible businesses. So that's my thing.
Oh, thank you. That is absolutely fantastic. And I have to agree that, going from the people first aspect, really, really important. So again, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great hearing from you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more when the webinar runs. And that's on the 25th of November. So thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, Sarah.